First thing I want to show you is my cats got some fan art. Screen name is Humble Zombie and Humble Zombie. I don't know if I can get this all in the camera. Look, it's Chip and Floof doing Chip and Floof things. Chip's chewing on things, Floof's Jingle Floof laying on a box, and this is absolutely adorable. And I have thanked Humble Zombie so much for this because this is fantastic. Right now I'm just hooking it over one of these doll boxes, but eventually I'll probably put it in a frame. You want something, Floof? Yeah? So, what have I been doing? I've been sewing. I shared another pattern. I forgot to grab it. It's kind of just a J shape, and it ends up, you cut out 6 of them and they make this skirt. Or this skirt, this 6-panel skirt will fit a curvy body, even with the elastic for a smaller body. This is the Playline Wonder Woman body. It will fit the curvy body with that elastic. It fits the curvy body really high up because the elastic's going for the narrowest area. But the 6 and the 4, I have not made a 4-panel version of this. I just figured that it should work for smaller dolls by like pinching out 2 panels and back. And somebody on Instagram, whose name I'm blanking on right now because I only just started following them, made the 4-panel version for a smaller doll, and it's cute. Cosmo Moore's made one of these too. I don't know if anybody else has made one of these. Like, I was surprised. I shared the pattern and then the next day people say, oh, I made it. I was like, oh, cool, thank you. That means that it was easier to put together, as easy to put together as I hoped it would be. The thing about this is, now I say it demands mixing prints. It doesn't. You could do this in all different color solids, or one print and a bunch of coordinating solids. I wouldn't suggest doing this in all just one color all the way around, because some bias skirts, bias swirl skirts, can get away with that because the way that they are cut on the bias, it makes the skirt just this gigantic, swirly, fantastic, fluffy thing. That's not what this is. This isn't really a bias swirl skirt. This is very straight of the grain up here, and it just whooshes around at the bottom. So I used to have these rules, the guidelines for mixing prints. And what it was is I would divide all prints into 3 categories. Florals, which of course have flowers or plants on them. It could be just leaves. I would still consider that a floral. Geometric, which would be like, you know, squares or circles, polka dots, or triangles, or plaids, or the squiggles, or anything that you look at and think it's a shape. It's not a thing besides a shape. And then what I would call figural, which is it's not a flower, it's not a shape, it's like a cat or trees. Well, trees, like some things could be right on the border between whether they would be floral or figural, or even floral geometric or geometric and figural. So this is my rule for dividing prints. And then the way I would combine it is just one of each. So it could be floral with geometric, floral with figural, geometric with figural. And if the colors coordinated, that was fine, but it's just, in my mind, as long as it was one from each, that'd be no problem. So that was my guideline for years for how I'd mix prints. And then I eventually realized, actually, no. My number 1 rule for print mixing is if you sew it together, it goes together. I have reached into my cloth drawer and randomly pulled things out and sewn them together, and they look fine. Print mixing is not as scary as some people think it is, especially on dolls, because dolls aren't going to walk down the street and get some smart aleck making some unwanted comment about how your clothes don't match. Because you're posting the dolls in your doll community where people know how dolls work. And especially I used to think that the more stylized dolls like Blythes and Flips could get away with more print mixing, but as you can see now, I don't care. I mix the prints. So yes, this skirt can give you a chance to try some print mixing. And it only takes a small amount of each one of these, so you can just try just a little bit, you know, like a print that you love and you've been hoarding. You can use a little bit in this skirt, and another print that you love, and another print that you love. Up to 6 panels. Actually, you can make more than 6 panels, and I'm going to try this sometime, like make 8 or 12 and then actually gather them at the waist instead of just... Right now, there's an elastic, a waistband the same size, so to the top, then elastic put in. Its instructions are on the pattern, which I will link below. And I'm thinking so sometime of doing this as like the skirt, really making it really wide, like I said, many more panels, and gathering them into a bodice. But I don't know if I'll get to that because I have other ideas. But as usual, to get to a pattern I was happy to share, I had to experiment a little bit. So this was, I say my 4th attempt. Actually, it's my 5th, my first attempt. I just kind of completely forgot how these skirts worked, and it was completely unusable. So I will talk about that now more. So this is my 4th attempt, and I got it, and I shared it. Before that one, I made this one. And yes, this is one of the ugly sweaters I randomly made. I like this combination. You might be able to tell what difference I made, like in the angle of where the curve is and how wide it is before it curves. So this was my 3rd attempt. My 2nd attempt was this one, which I just, let's see, these are even wider and they don't swoop quite as dramatically. And also I tried this way to put the elastic in the top that didn't really work very well. So I picked that apart and I put just the regular waistband in, and then I decided to see about putting lace in the bottom. And then my first attempt, well, first attempt that worked using this set of prints, which is actually what I used in the first attempt that I'm not mentioning anymore, that was this one. And again, this was really, since the first one that I'm not mentioning failed so terribly, this was more proof of concept that yes, it does work. I can't remember how to do it, even though it had been years since I had made a skirt like this for dolls. So I did this, I liked the colors, and I decided I wanted to make this shirt just to go with this skirt, and this is the pattern I shared. It's the same one, this. And then I decided, well, I wanted to make a whole doll to wear this. So I gave her a lot of purple in her makeup. And obviously there's purple in the hair. And I've gotten some questions about this hair. This is yarn hair. This is something I've done before on another doll that people have expressed interest in. So I said I've tried to just explain it, but my explanations aren't great. So I will show you what I did. It starts out as boucle yarn, which is the yarn that looks like this. And the way boucle yarn is made is there's sort of a heavier center strand, and then the fluffy decorative strand is wrapped around it, and then there's a really small strand wrapped around that to hold it to the center strand. Usually the small strand is pretty innocuous, but it's gold in this one. I don't know if you can see some sparkles. So the way, and I have done dolls where I've just glued this straight to their head too. It gives a really nice light wave effect. But to get a more curled effect, you find the center strand and the ends will get toasted. That's okay. There's plenty of yarn in a skein to go on a doll head. So you find the center strand, and there are some extra fluffies from the decorative to go with it. You find the center strand, and you hold that, and you just push the rest of it down. And then you can start compressing it or expanding it to be the amount of curl that you want. And I have actually not done anything with a super dense curl like this. It's actually a lot looser. And then I just slather the scalp with glue and glue this down, making sure that the cut ends are tucked in or under, and then we have this hair. So that was my swirl skirt adventures. And I also finally made one of the circle skirts, and that's this one. This is some cloth that Cosmo sent. Thank you again. I haven't ironed it yet, so it doesn't hang quite right. and has a Susan zippering back. So, like I said, I still need to iron this. That's why it's not on it. Why I'm not holding the doll, jiggling the doll in front of the camera. So there's that. And then a couple years ago, okay, you know I don't usually thrift clothes just to cut apart. But sometimes if the clothes have damage or stain or something that I know no one is going to buy it to wear because it's pretty much it's junk, it shouldn't be on the hanger. But then people like me come along and I'll buy it to use for doll clothes. You know, a shirt that has a stain on it is still a whole bunch of cloth when it comes to doll clothes. So a few years ago I was looking for black t-shirts for me in the thrift store on the 99-cent rack. And I saw this sequin tank top on the 99-cent rack. And I looked at it and thought, oh, haha, there's a tiny sequins, that'd be great for dolls. And then as I was putting it back toward, just hanging it back, I noticed that along the seams and the sides, there were a lot of sequins missing. So to me, that's enough damage that no one is going to wear it because it's got missing sequins. So I've spent some time cutting through the stitching to turn it from a tank top into usable cloth. And that's this. So I'm going to be making some doll clothes. And this is just one half of the back. So there's going to be a decent amount. So I have plans to make doll clothes out of this. I don't know when I will actually make doll clothes out of it. And another thing that might take me a while to get to is the way this was constructed was the armholes in the hem weren't folded over. They were actually encased with the stretch polyester strips. But it's black, and you never know if that's going to stain a doll or not. So I pulled out this body, which was stained in the package, and tied a strip of it to the ankle. And I just did that this morning, so I'm going to leave this for a couple days and see if this stains, or maybe in the sun. I don't know if the sun, I know putting the acne cream on the leg in the sun will speed diluting the stain, removing the stain, so I don't know if putting it in the sun, heating up, will speed up the actual staining process. I'll try that. Of course, there's not much sun right now. But, so if this doesn't stain after a week, that gives me enough time to procrastinate, then I will use it to do edging on doll clothes also, because I do want to make something for John's Wataru. I have not come anywhere near finishing or sewing much of anything for John's birthday package. So I kind of want to make something out of this for his Wataru, especially if I can bind it off, but I don't want to stain his Grail doll. So I'll make sure that doesn't stain. And I have cut out and I'm ready to sew another pair of obnoxious shorts for the kiddo made out of this. But since I had this scrap on my desk when I was working on this, I realized I really want to make an outfit with these together for dolls. I'm not sure what size doll or quite what the outfit would be, but that my main hesitation initially, I thought, well, that's not colorful enough. But come on, it's sparkles and cats. So, and these tiny round sequins are everywhere in here. And then, yesterday I went to a thrift store. I had a few dolls I picked up, but I put them all back because I decided, I'd almost talked myself out of buying a thrift grab bag of cloth. You know, they come in the bed in bags, there's a lot of cloth in there. I'd almost talked myself out of it, but like someone else had opened it up. So I was digging around inside, getting an idea what the cloth was. And there was a piece of cloth I just adored, and another piece of cloth I knew I could use. But I'd still almost, $6 is not a lot of money, but I didn't need it. And I almost talked myself out of buying it when one of my bracelets broke, and all the beads fell down inside the bag. And I almost convinced myself that that's okay, it's just beads, but this was a kind of a weird bracelet I'd made that I'm not sure I could reproduce. A floof is sharp near claws in a box. So I decided to go ahead and grab the bag and buy it. And one of the cloths in it was about 6 yards of dusty pink lining. And so 6 yards of that for $6, I got my money's worth. And there were other cloths in there. Okay, some of it was stuff that I'm never going to do anything with. Some of it was just so bland that it could be useful for like accent, like white textured cloth. And then some of it had doll use. Like there's not a lot of this, but there's enough of this for dolls. I thought this was interesting. It's kind of a twill, but that's not a print. That's woven into it. So we'll be using this for probably a doll jacket at some point. And then there's about 1.5 yards of this knit, which I can use this to make human stuff. I love there's this stripe in the center. That's like the palest, palest, palest kind of purpley pink color. No idea if the color balance will even show that up in here. But this is going to be great, a great size for doll clothes too, as well as human clothes. And of course, these go together really well. So I'm imagining like a jacket out of this and a shirt dress out of this, but we'll see sometime eventually. And then the cloth that was in the bag that I just adored has turned out to be 1.33 yards of this wax print. And again, I don't know if the camera can pick it up, but this green is pearlescent. So I can't wait to get this washed and ironed so I can see it in its full ready-to-use stage and then figure out exactly what I'm going to do with it. Well, what I would plan to do with it, because we all know I don't actually do this stuff very often, but I want to. Again, if I would stop going to the thrift store, then I'd have more time to sew. I know I've been saying that for like 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 years, but anyway, and then after the thrift store, I went to Bargain Hunt, which is this Mid-South salvage store. Yes, stuff that other stores can't sell, Bargain Hunt buys, and then they sell for a really cheap price. Or stuff that gets returned to Amazon, Bargain Hunt sells. Bargain Hunt buys from Amazon and then sells. Sometimes it's just a little dented, the package is just a little dented. Sometimes it's absolutely fine. Sometimes people opened up, put the wrong thing inside, then returned it. So they had some interesting dolls that I didn't actually buy because I'm a cheapskate. They had like 2 DC superhero girls, Wonder Womans, and 11 Bumblebees. My main problem with those is I don't like the feet. I know Cosmo and other people have done great work with articulating Kirby's by cutting off the lower legs and arms of Kirby's and putting in DC superhero girl arms and legs. So I thought about that. They were $6.50 each. It's like if I go back in a few months and there's still a few there, they will have been dropped in price, and maybe, probably not. And then they had the Barbie video game heroes, the ones that are kind of anime looking. Also $6.50 again. I would just want the head. I don't want their molded clothes bodies, so I left those behind. And they had a bunch of the Pokemon Petites, which is unfortunately a failed line of absolutely adorable little tiny Pokemons with play sets and things that were $6 for the smaller sets and $3 for the individuals, which again, they had a lot of them, so if they're there in a few months, reducing price, I might, but I don't need them. But I did buy a thing from that store. This was, I can tell by the tag, it was originally in the Target dollar section. But this is supposed to be a drawstring bag, but I bought it to use for doll clothes. And I definitely want to make something for John's Batu from this. And I have some idea what. And you know, that might use this much. So I will have plenty of this to mess around with for sewing doll clothes. And I think that's, oh no. One more thing. I went into Walmart today and I did see their display of the Harry Potter dolls is selling down, but I actually found them on the aisle this time. So they had more McGonagalls, which I did not buy. And I finally saw a Dumbledore. And is it Strange's doll collection? Somebody on Instagram has cut off a lot of Dumbledore's beard and kind of put his hair up into a bun, and it looks like, as they said, the most interesting person in the world, that beer advertising character, as they said. So when Dumbledore gets worked over like that, and somebody else is actually sculpting a real mouth for Dumbledore, since if you don't know, his beard is plastic and the mouth is molded to the beard, and those actually come off the face, and then there's just left is basically a plug for the beard and the mouth, and it's you're not supposed to play with your dolls like that. So there are options for Dumbledore. They had 5 of them. Sorry. So I didn't get one, but I did go to the clearance section and I did fall for the allure. I don't actually remember seeing these when they were on sale on the proper shelves, but maybe I just wasn't looking. But at $3, I decided to get one of these, and I'm going to open it now. I was looking at the ones on the sides. Basically, I'll be happy with anyone that's not too much yellow or orange, which probably means I'll get one of them that's all yellow and orange. But there's 24. I'm sure some are more rare than others, but we'll see which one I get. And these were made by Jack's Pacific. Oh, I see. Oh, I thought most of these blind pack things you get are, even if you open them up, you can't see anything, but I see blue hair and purple body. Oh, is this the one on the package? I know this is that one, I think. They are not wigs, they are actually rooted hair. So they can be restyled. And actually, I couldn't tell you if there was one I wanted more than any other one, so she is fine. And I will have fun getting her hair to all go in the same direction, and then taking ridiculous pictures of this chick with a wig. Let's see, do they have... There's always a check mark. Do they have names? Okay, she is Gertrude. See, there's also Allison, Karen, Joyce, Linda, Donna, Barbara, Mary Alice, Mallory, that's a weird way to spell Mallory, Cynthia, Betty Jo, Evelyn, Fanny, Carol Ann, Missy, Ellen, Jane, Jo Marie, Kathleen, Maria, Millicent, Martha, Gertrude, Francine, and Amanda. So we have Gertrude. And I think that's it for this week. I was going to go down to the basement and airbrush more dinosaurs this weekend, but one of husband's friends came over to play war games, and I just didn't want him to give me a hard time for painting pastel dinosaurs. So as always, I have a million projects I could be doing. I just need to do them, and when I do, I'll show them to you. I think I see that a lot, don't I? Alright, thanks!